Hello, everybody. I want to talk to you today about something very important. It's the salespeople that you talk to when you want to sign up for an electric company. Totally different than if you were to sign up online. It's not that every electric company is going to do this to you, but a lot of the sales guys, that when they get you on the phone, that is when they usually try to hook you into something that's just absolutely not true. And I've found this to be the case several times before I was actually in the energy business, when I would call an electric provider and sign up for an electric rate. I would see an ad first, like online or on the radio or TV or something. Then I'd call the electric company, and they would hook me in on the ad, and then I'd call the person. And as most people, we don't want to get messed over with an electric company or any company, and so we start asking more inquisitive questions to find out, is this really true? I mean, this sounds like a great price. I just want to make sure. So you start asking questions, and some of these questions that I usually ask are like, well, $99 to start electric service. Is this for the whole month? And the salesperson, even if it's not for the whole month, they might say, yeah, it's for the whole month. But if you ask some more questions, which most people wouldn't, they just trust the sales guy is telling the truth. But in reality, maybe the sales guy is like thinking in their head, yeah, $99 for the whole month, provided you use $99 of electricity. Well, why didn't they tell me that? Well, because they want to try to sell you the service. So if they can, they're going to try to tell you as little as they possibly have to, in hopes that it sounds good enough for you to want to sign up on the phone. And on the phone, it's a recorded contract, and so you're not recording it, but they are. And even if you get your bill and you realize it wasn't $99, it's actually a lot more than that, then most customers will just be like, well, I didn't record the conversation, and I don't know, I'll sign up with another provider in a couple months because I didn't like how they treated me. But they still messed you over. So what are you going to do about it? Well, most people aren't going to do anything about it. But what you really should do is you should contact the Public Utility Commission of Texas and let them know this company treated me such and so a way. Also, if it's a recorded contract, they should have it recorded, so you have recourse. You can be like, well, the salesperson told me one thing, and you're telling me something different. Well, if it's a recorded contract, we need to pull that up, and I need to listen to it. And really, this is a real easy thing to get out of. If they charge you $200 but promise you $99, you can complain to the Public Utility Commission of Texas, and chances are very likely that you'll get at least $100 back, and the option to get out of the contract without penalty and sign up with someone who's going to treat you honestly. In a lot of cases, if they promise you $99 for the first month, that probably is true. But then after that first month is over, then what happens? Well, usually, I like to ask questions like, well, after the first month, well, what's the rate going to be? And they might say something like, well, I don't know what the rate's going to be. It's based on the energy market, and we just really don't know that. Well, you really don't know. You can't tell me in any possible way what the rate's going to be after the first month. Is that really true? Obviously, that's not true. They don't want to tell you the specifics. They're trying to get you to sign up. There's actually what's called an electricity fax label, and there's also a terms of service. And you need to ask them, where can I find these online so I can see what the rate will do after their first month? And I would also like to look at the terms of service. Every Texas electric provider is supposed to have a terms of service and electricity fax label that you can go online and view. Now, the electricity fax label is really clear in showing you what the rate will do the first month and what it does after the first month in very specific terms. It has it all laid out there. It'll even have an average electricity rate, so you can see what the actual electric rate looks like, and you just take that rate and multiply it times however many kilowatt hours you think you'll probably use for the month. Most people use around 1,000 kilowatt hours. Some use around 1,500, somewhere in that range, and you can just multiply the rate times those kilowatt hours to kind of give you an idea of what your electric bill is going to look like. Now, this being said, the confusion, if you haven't noticed, is regarding variable electric rates, variable prices. This is where most people get hooked in to absolutely outrageous rates. This is why, even after deregulation, many customers pay more for electricity than they did prior to deregulation. It's not because prices haven't come down. They've come down. It's that people continuously, routinely fall for these 1 month promotional rates over and over and over again. I even heard an electric provider who will remain nameless kind of joked to me. I didn't think it was funny, but joked to me that it was none of the providers that I deal with. This was a provider I have absolutely nothing to do with. Definitely don't like their business practices. But they said that there's these customers, they're quick to forget. They'll sign up for this 1 month promotional rate. It'll skyrocket on them, and they'll get completely upset and everything about it. But then they'll go over to the next provider that the same company might own, just a different brand, and sign up for another variable rate all over again. And if that weren't enough, if those customers eventually figure out that the variable price isn't going to work for them, the provider doesn't care. There are millions of other people that are going to fall for it all over again, over and over and over again, every single month. And so these providers, they've developed a business plan that's totally based on hooking you in on the first month and then raising your price. So rather than going with the variable price, rather than calling the salesperson and having them confirm what you think is the truth, but it's not, that really is a price, it really is that cheap, and they try to make you think it's going to always be like that. Rather than fall for that, look at the fixed rates. Look at the fixed rate offers, the ones that are like 6 months long or 12 months long. It's the same price. It'll stay the same for the entire term of the contract, and you just don't have any worries. You don't have to worry about it. That's my 2 cents on that. Getting on the phone and talking to a salesperson, if you can avoid it, just do it. Just sign up online. Don't have them confirm in your mind about these variable prices that somehow it's just going to be okay for the long term, because it's just not going to be in most cases. And this is what I remember before I was even in the energy business, when I would call an electric provider and try to get confirmation. They simply would tell me as little as they had to, and if I wasn't there asking very specific pointed questions, I would not get the information that I would need. And had they given me all the information, I probably wouldn't have signed up for the plan that I originally chose. So I hope this helps. I'm not trying to paint a picture that all electric companies that have variable prices are bad and you should avoid them, and all sales guys on the phone for electric companies are terrible. That's not true, but I just have to be very in your face about this, that this does happen a lot, and so you really need to be watching for that, because and I go so far as to say, don't even call the salespeople. Just do your own research online. Look at the electricity facts label. Look at the terms of service. Stay away from the variable prices. Just sign up with a fixed rate. That's probably the best way to go. I hope this information helps, and check out the site. Do a comparison and see what you can see, and if you have any questions, leave comments. I'll be glad to answer those. Thanks.